All right, guys, what is going on? Mr. C here with lesson 8.4. We're going to be talking about rational expressions today, mainly how to multiply and divide. Next lesson, we're going to go over how to add and subtract. Basically, you're going to be working on a lot of simplifying. We're going to be canceling a lot of stuff out in between the numerator and the denominator. But let's go ahead and look at our first example. Say we want to multiply and simplify. So after we're multiplying it, make sure it's in simplest form. Okay, these two things. So it's going to be two rational expressions, so two ratios or two fractions that we're going to be multiplying. And the two things we're going to multiply are x squared plus x minus 6 over x minus 5, multiplying that by x squared minus 25 over x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, and it might look like a lot, but it's actually not too bad multiplying two rational expressions. Okay, first step, basically what we're going to want to do is if there are things we can factor, we're going to factor them. For instance, it's been a while, but do you remember this x squared plus x? Missing a plus there. There we go. X squared plus x plus 6, that can factor. Remember, it's factors of your constant term to add to be your x term. So what factors of 6 add to be 1? Sorry, that was not a plus, that's a minus. Whoops. All right, struggling here in the first example. All right, that's an x squared plus x minus 6. What factors of negative 6 add to be a positive 1? And that would factor to an x plus 3 times x minus 2, if you recall, because a plus 3 and a minus 2 will add to be 1 and multiply to be negative 6. Okay, so that's factored. X minus 5 stays the same. Multiplying by, we recognize this as a difference of 2 squared. This is x to the second. This is 5 to the second. So that's going to factor to x plus 5 times x minus 5. All right. And then the bottom here, factors of 3 that add to be 4 are an x plus 3 and an x plus 1. Okay, so first part's done, just to factor them. Now, when we're trying to multiply and simplify these things, really, in order to simplify, all we're doing is identify common factors, like the top has a factor of x minus 5, and the bottom has a factor of x minus 5. Top has a factor of x plus 3. Bottom has a factor of x plus 3. So those are actually going to be canceled. So we can cancel x plus 3 over x plus 3 is 1. X minus 5 over x minus 5 is 1. And then when we're multiplying this thing, okay, it's as simple as x plus 2 over x plus 1. And that's going to be our simplified answer. Whoops. X plus 2, x plus 5. Whew, struggling here. X plus 2 and x plus 5. There we go. Almost forgot that other factor. So there were two factors in the top still. X minus 2, x plus 5, and then one factor left in the bottom. Okay, so this should be my simplified answer right here. X plus 2 times x plus 5 over x plus 1. So you guys will be doing a couple of those for homework. Let me know if they don't make sense. If you have questions, again, just factor and then cancel out like terms. Okay. All right, that's it for today's lesson. I know it's probably short and sweet compared to the graphing one that we did earlier. Go ahead, start on that homework if you're continuing on for Tuesdays, which might be a good idea since it's pretty short lessons today. Let's move forward. So here's the beginning of Tuesdays. All we're going to do is add one extra step in dividing rational expressions. Okay, dividing rational expressions. Now really, they only take one extra step. So let's go ahead and look at this. We have a 2 minus x and x squared plus 2x plus 1. That's my first ratio. And we're dividing. It's probably been a long time since we've seen that sign there. Dividing x squared plus 3x minus 10 over x squared minus 1, right? So let's factor this out. You might notice this is kind of weird looking, just in the order that it's written, 2 minus x. A lot of times whenever we have something like this, like a 2 minus x rather than like an x plus 2 or an x minus 2, a good idea is to factor out a negative from this. For example, it would look more like, when I factor out a negative, it will look like an x minus 2. Okay, so hope we can see that this here and this here are the same thing. If I distribute this negative, that would give me a negative x, and this negative times that negative 2 will give me a positive 2. Okay, so notice these two are the same thing. It just factored out a negative from 2 and a negative from x, or a negative x here. Okay. So that's how that factors. On the bottom, factors of 1 that add to be 2 are 1 and 1, x plus 1, x plus 1. If you wanted to write them as x plus 1 squared, that'd be fine. Okay, divided by, that's going to be an x plus 5 times an x minus 2, because we have 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 plus negative 2 is 3. Okay, and then also recognize that this is a difference of two squares. This is x to the second and 1 to the second. So that's going to factor to an x minus 1 times an x plus 1. All right, so that's all factored. Now here's what we do when we have to divide two rational expressions. Really just this division means multiplying by the reciprocal of this guy here. So what it's going to look like is our first ratio stays the same. So negative x minus 2 times x plus 1, or over x plus 1 times x plus 1. And we're now multiplying by the reciprocal of my second ratio, which is x minus 1 times x plus 1. Remember, reciprocal just means flip the fraction. Okay. X plus 5 and x minus 2. And from here, it's just the same exact as the previous problem. So we can factor, or not factor, we can cancel out one of the x plus 1s and the x minus 2. Notice the benefit of factoring out that negative, okay? Because the x minus 2s can now cancel. I think that's it. We have an x minus 1. We don't have 1 on the bottom. We don't have an x plus 5 on top. So we can write this as the following. Okay, this negative can kind of just stay in front of my factors that are left up top. Okay, so we have negative of x minus 1 over x plus 1 times x plus 5. All right. Okay, hope you guys followed there. That is as far as we're going to go for today. This is probably one of the shorter lessons we'll have. Next lesson is going to be quite a bit longer because the adding and subtracting of these guys, since you have to have common denominators, take quite a bit more time. So that is it again for today. Go on Classroom, check out the homework. Feel free to leave me comments, any questions that you have. Yeah, talk to you guys later. I miss you. Please join Zooms. I miss you guys. I want to see your lovely faces. I want to hear your lovely voices. Please join our Zooms. I miss you guys. I'm going crazy. All right. Peace.